far does that glass of milk or that bowl of grapes travel before it gets to your table in your house? Good question. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the County Seat. I'm Chad Booth. That's going to be part of our discussion today as we look at the connection between the agricultural community of Utah, how big it is, how important it is, and everybody else that lives here. So we're going to start our discussion by taking you out to the farm via the school kids as we take a look at how early we start the process of making that connection between farm and food.
The Whedon family was one of the founding families of South Jordan. In 1915, my great-grandpa, Alma Whedon, purchased this 40-acre farm, and then my grandpa bought it off of his dad, and he paid $200 an acre for it. So these are our Belgians. This is our Belgian team. We've always had a team of workhorses. My grandpa firmly believed in doing stuff with a horse, even when a machine could have done it. My grandparents built this house in 1965. When you see the aerial photos, it is so compelling to see. You just have these huge masses of land with one farmhouse in the middle. And it's like that all along the Salt Lake Valley. And now it's completely changed. And that was only from 1965 to now. A few years ago, we had an interesting experience. A whistleblower showed up on my mom's doorstep at 10:30 at night and said, there's something going on at the city that you need to be aware of. And we looked on the city website, and come to find out the city had slotted to take half of our farm by eminent domain for soccer fields. We had to fight tooth and nail to say, hey, we're not going to go down without a fight. But eminent domain is a huge challenge that we are constantly battling. Number one, farms are important because it's important to have open space, but farmers are important because it's important to have someone that knows what to do with the open space. If we develop all of our open land, then what's going to happen when the day comes when the other states that we rely on so heavily for agriculture, like California, for example, if the day comes when they can't ship us the food that we count on, then how are we going to feed ourselves? And it's critical that we teach our youth that there are fields in agriculture, there are careers in agriculture to be had, and we need to not only encourage that, but we also need to reward it. So in second grade, they do it's called Farm Field Days. They do it out at Butterfield Farm, Myrna Butterfield's farm in Harriman. Then they do 7th grade Ag Days, which we just hosted here for the first time this last year. Had a great experience, had thousands of 7th graders here to the farm, and are looking forward to doing that in the future. And it's important to show these kids that there are still, agriculture is not a thing. Not only is it not a thing of the past, it can't be a thing of the past.
Farm Field Days is the Farm Bureau's way of teaching elementary kids about agriculture as a way to introduce kids to cows and field crops and those things that they don't get a chance to experience anymore because they live in homes in subdivisions and stuff like that.
What is this? An apple. An apple is a what?
It's a fruit.
Instead of hearing, well, we experienced this at Grandpa's farm, now it's our family used to have a farm, or our great-grandpa used to have a farm, and especially in the north end of Utah County, more and more of the farms in this area are gone. Utah County is at a tipping point where if we continue to build over our available agricultural ground, we will, in I think it was like 5 more years, we'll no longer be able to raise enough food and fiber in this area to sustain the population.
As I have become more and more involved with the Farm Bureau, and I go to state conventions and things and meet farm kids from other parts of the Salt Lake Valley, it's really interesting to hear their stories too, and to not feel so alone. You know, here where we're completely surrounded and feel like we're fighting a losing battle, I go and meet other farmers from throughout Salt Lake County, and they're fighting the exact same battle that we're fighting here in South Jordan, and there's just so few of us clinging, hanging on for dear life.
We will continue our discussion, and I can't really say what all the guys say on network TV about we're going to get into the weeds, because the guys we're talking to don't want anything to do with weeds. When we come back, we'll talk to our experts on the county seat. Yeah, we're folks bound by traditions. Whether it's holiday time or vacation time, make sure that one of your traditions is a stop at the Creamery in Beaver, Utah. Delicious cheese direct from the factory, ice cream, tasty treats, crafts, and gifts of all kinds. And it's the perfect place to get a bowl of creamy mac and cheese. Start your new tradition the next time you're headed our way. The Creamery in Beaver, Utah. Farm, meet table.
The Utah Farm Bureau began as a collection of farmers supporting each other to raise the food we enjoy. Today, Farm Bureau membership encompasses everyone, whether ranchers, growers, or just everyday folks like you and me. Members enjoy discounts on items like vehicles and ATVs, or insurance that's very affordable. You don't have to be a farmer to join, and dues are small, but together we make a big difference in keeping our food supply local and abundant. Join Utah Farm Bureau.
Crisp, colorful, a world in transition. You don't have to travel the back roads of Maine to explore autumn in all of its glory. Beaver County offers fall in unique splendor, with drives along forgotten canyons and hikes through meadows exploding with vibrant hues of red and yellow. Hit the road with your family and discover a side of Beaver County you never knew you were missing. Autumn is fleeting, so don't hesitate. Beaver County, it's time to experience the real Utah. This is what adventure looks like, and here's what it sounds like. Southwest Utah's Iron County offers some of the most iconic trails within the state that include 200 miles of new trails to be discovered. Check out ironcounty.net for info and interactive maps for your complete guide to off-roading. Explore countless miles of trails in the heart of Dixie National Forest, the gateway to Utah National Parks, Iron County.
Welcome back to the county seat. We are talking about the linkage between home and farm and how many people are missing the mark. Joining us for our continuing discussion about the importance of understanding how agriculture plays a role in our daily lives are two presidents of two farm bureaus, the Millard County Farm Bureau, Jared Bueller, and the State Farm Bureau President, Ron Gibson. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So,
Appreciate it.
So, before we started the show, Jared, you were relating to a conversation about a kid who said, you know, what do chickens make? And tell us that story, because that kind of sums up the problem that we have.
Well, when they get to like our farm field days, they ask, you know, they see the chicken and they see the feathers. They don't really know, some of these kids, they don't know what, you know, that it's an excellent egg. Or we have chickens for meat. Mm-hmm. And so it goes, you know, it's a pretty crazy question when you're just born in agriculture and not understanding that somebody wouldn't not know what chicken makes.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because I remember my grandfather raising chickens at his house, and he would go out there, he had a stump, and he would go out and, you know, headless chicken, and by dinner time we had chicken dinner, and so I remember that. But I guess somehow, Ron, how do you think we lost that connection?
Well, there's no way to bring that point home like there is to actually live on a farm or ranch, just like the story that you just talked about. And I think the biggest challenge that we have in society today is that people are so removed from agriculture. You know, well, not everybody, but we have less than 2% of the population in the United States work in production agriculture. So that means that 98% of the people don't. And so when we're not close to the agriculture, when we don't see how animals are raised, how they're taken care of, and how that process works, then people kind of lose track of how important it is and how that all works.
So, I'm thinking back on this. Utah has lost 65% of its AUMs, which are animal monthly units, a mom and a calf, and what they eat in a month, over the last 50 years. How big has that population shift been? Do either of you have any idea as far as, we're down to 2% of the people involved in agricultural production, but was it 15 or 20% 50 years ago? I mean, how big has that shift been?
I don't know. I know that in 1916, when the Utah Farm Bureau was established, so we've been in business 100 years advocating for farmers and ranchers. And when that was established, we had to have about 30% of the people that were involved in production agriculture. So in 100 years' time, we've gone from 30% to 2%.
Holy smokes, that is quite a bit. So what kind of problems does this create for you when people on the Wasatch Front have no idea what it is that you do in Miller County?
Well, me personally, I manage an Intermountain Farmer store in Delta, Utah, so I make a living with the farmers. And so I see it very wide that, if a farmer goes out because they can't make it anymore, it's huge. And not our personal farm. My wife's family runs a big cattle operation, and I take care of them. But every time somebody goes out of business, then it hurts me, personally. But you see it. Everything is from like small farms. If they go out, it goes to a bigger farm, but it don't take as many people to run a bigger farm than it does a whole bunch of little farms.
So, Ron, your operation is a dairy operation, and you live across what I call the magic bridge, because you get off and you're in Ogden, which is very urban, and then you head out towards your farm, and you cross the bridge, and then all of a sudden you're like in an entirely different world. It's actually it's stunning to see the difference, how quickly it changes. What do the people in Ogden need to know about what's going on in your side of the county to protect the fact that without your dairy products, things at the grocery store in Ogden could end up being pretty dicey?
Well, we do live in a kind of a unique situation. And a lot of people want to come live out there now. It's starting to be the trend. My wife can get to 3 Walmarts in 5 minutes from my house, yet we have a 1,500 cow dairy on 500 acres of land that our family owns. And so it's really kind of a unique situation out there. But one thing that's important to us on our farm especially, and also in the Farm Bureau, is we have to make sure, with only 1% of the population being agricultural producers, we have to make sure that the people in town understand the importance of production agriculture in our communities. If they don't understand the importance of production agriculture in our communities, then we're going to lose support with the laws that are created that are going to make it more and more difficult for us to be able to stay in business.
That leads me to a couple of really good questions. We need to take a quick break to pay the bills. We'll be right back with our conversation about the importance to you in the city about the farm across the way. We'll be right back on the County Seat. For 7 years, Utah's Community Voice has been the County Seat, a program that looks beyond politics to spotlight the issues and stories that really matter to you and your community. Now you can help set Utah's agenda for the future by joining the conversation. Become a County Seat sponsor and help support those conversations that are critical to the future of state government. Contact us at 801-947-8888 to make your contribution to help the voice of Utah be heard like never before. Welcome back to the county seat. We are talking farm and city today, the country mouse, the city mouse, or something like that. I do want to ask a question, though. You know, people go to the grocery store in Ogden. I'll use the closest municipality to you. They pull milk off the shelf. They pull a pound of hamburger out there. They may not realize that, you know, Stone's Meats, a local company, provided the beef that they got from ranchers across rural Utah, and that milk came from your place. If all of a sudden those operations, your operations, were gone, how long would it take before, I mean, you know, how much of that milk in Ogden actually is coming from your dairy?
Well, that's a great point. You know, a lot of times people get this mentality that if they just go to the grocery store, they're not buying local products. And that's not true. You can even go to Walmart today, and the milk that's in Walmart is Utah milk, all of it. The milk that's in Kent's Market is Utah milk. And that is really an important thing to have, I think. I mean, do you want your milk brought in from clear across the country, or even worse, somewhere out of the country? I don't. And to me, that's important. A lot of the fresh produce that's grown, especially during the summer months, comes from local family farms and ranches. And so it is important that we have that local agriculture. I can't even imagine living in a world where we don't have the ability to feed ourselves as a state. I want to eat local tomatoes. I want to eat that local produce. And of course, I want to drink that local milk.
Yes, you would.
But also, on that same subject, there's so many people that are moving into Utah. And in our area, they're trying to get some hog farms to come to Millard County. And as a Farm Bureau organization, we've met and we want to be behind. If they fit, we would like to be behind bringing them hog farms into Millard County from the Smithfield operation and get behind them. And I know they're working on getting one over in the Fillmore area right now, but they tried to bring one in to the Delta area, and it didn't go through.
Too much opposition.
Yes, but if we have that many people moving, like me and you were talking about before we came in here, there's going to be 75,000 people, I've heard, be in Wasatch County. I know when I grew up, there was probably 30 or 40 dairies in Wasatch County. My dad ran a dairy, and my father-in-law ran a dairy. And there's 2 dairies left in Wasatch County out of probably 50 at one time. Who's going to feed them people if we don't keep bringing some of this expansion to our communities that can fill the farms?
So it seems to me that there are 2 issues that are at play. One of them is a population issue and an education issue as far as having people understand how close the connection between their food supply and the grocery store actually is. And the other one has to do with legislative policy and what legislators do when they're under urban pressure to be reelected, and how those urban guys who control the House and the Senate right now need to pay attention to what the rural guys saying we need to do to protect agriculture across the state. How does Farm Bureau approach that?
Well, one thing we're doing is we're making a lot of efforts to try to get legislators onto our farms so that they can see it. And we've had 3 events this year where we've reached out to them and tried to get them to come out. We've had really good turnouts from that. And I think legislators really enjoy it. You know, deep inside of everyone's heart is a tie to agriculture. We just, you know, we have a corn maze and pumpkin patch on our farm. And we had almost 35,000 visitors this year. Part of the trip is a farm tour. And so when you pay to come to the corn maze, you get a farm tour, and you get to see the baby calves. You get to see the cows being milked. You get to see where the cows live, and you get to witness the harvest. We're harvesting the crops all at the same time. Every time people get off of that wagon after I've given a tour, they walk up to me and they say, "My grandpa was a farmer," or "My uncle was a farmer," or "I used to go to Idaho and in the summers and work with my cousins." Everybody wants a tie back to that agricultural root. I think it's something that's very natural inside of us. And now, as people are moving further and further away from the farm, they're looking for an opportunity to see that. And so what Farm Bureau is trying to do is tie to that emotional connection that they have so that they can really see and understand how agricultural producers live their lives and the importance that agriculture brings to our communities, both economically and culturally.
What kind of things are you doing down in Millard County?
So one thing that we've, as a board, decided a year or so ago is have somebody from our board attend all the county commissioners, the meetings that are open. So we already know what's going on before they have a hearing or something. So Brett Bunker, for instance, he was attending some of our meetings, and we threw him out there, and well, 3-4 months later, now he's on the city council. So just being involved with what we're doing, but as we're going into this, we tried to have this dinner this year. This is our second year. Maria Nice put it together. She's on our ag promotion state committee, and it's called Feed Millard County by Millard County or with Millard County. And so what we did is it's corresponding with our fair in August, and we got the local beef producers, a lot of the beef guys from up in Leamington, the Oscathorpes donated lamb, Swift's donated pork, the Willoughbys did vegetables and pumpkin pie that a lot of people don't even know. Pumpkins are raised in Millard County now. So anyway, and had milk for $7, wheat. I'm just running out through everybody. We had local people, Dave and Julie Johnson. They'd sell wheat in 5-gallon buckets. Well, they had the wheat rolls made and honey, and so you came through and got like 10 different items for $5
that were made local.
That was all local, and we had signs made that talked about the producer, and so everything you got, and we charged $5 was all. 250 tickets sold out. And every year it will be sold out. But and even back to my wife made quiche from the local eggplant. There's 1 million chickens in Delta, and she made quiche. So you got all that, and as you came through, you got to see every little bit of what was just in Millard County.
A local feast. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about how people can be engaged in helping advance this knowledge of the connection that exists between farm and food. We'll be right back with the County Seat.
What would you do with an extra day in Utah Valley? Explore the Wasatch Mountains? Snap a family photo at Bridal Veil Falls. Cool off on Utah Lake or the Provo River. No matter what you're searching for, you can find it in Utah Valley. Bring everyone together.
All local products have a story of magical places, real people, and delicious recipes spanning generations. So go ahead and discover flavors you've never tasted, and friends you never knew you had. Utah's own Discover Local Food.
There's a little place on a Utah map where I was raised, where my heart's at, where the sagebrush grows wild and high, and the stars come out at night. Oh, there ain't nothing like being raised in the basin with a Ute reservation, skiing starvation, that Duchesne County life.
149 million years in the making, dinosaurs once roamed this land. Now they're found at the Dinosaur National Monument. Let's take you beyond the bones. We call it Dinosaur Land. You'll find it offers adventures and sights not seen anywhere else in the world. Come to Dinosaur Land, Vernal, Utah. You'll want to stay forever. The dinosaurs did.
Welcome back to the county seat. We've been having a discussion about the Farm Bureau and their role in trying to help connect people in the city to understand that not too far away from them is local food. So I want to ask one question, because Farm Bureau is kind of an enigma, just like the farm is to a lot of city folks. What is it you guys do on behalf of Utah's agricultural community?
Well, we always are advocating for local agriculture, and there's sometimes a misconception about what that means. I mean, we work at the legislature to make sure that we can help try to pass laws that will be beneficial to local agricultural producers. But when we do that, we're not just working for farmers and ranchers across the state. What we're doing is we're working for every Utahn. And the reason that we are is because it's so important that we have that local agriculture here in our community. That's why it's so important that we're working for everyone.
Yeah, we don't want all our spinach in the produce department to be wilted because it got shipped from Wisconsin or something like that.
Right.
Oh, that would be cheese. I'm sorry. Anyway, what can people do to help Farm Bureau along? So I live in a city. Of course, I'm cheating because I'm already a member, but I live in the city. And what's the value of somebody saying, I want to be a Farm Bureau member?
Well, the value is, first of all, membership for Utah Farm Bureau is $72, and that's for a year. So it's for $6 a month, you can support local Utah agriculture. And first of all, be a member of Farm Bureau. And by doing that, it gives us the funds to be able to do the things we need to do to advocate for local agriculture and that open space that we all enjoy. And there is such a value to have that local agriculture in our community. And for you to be involved in that, by doing that, really helps those of us that are involved in production agriculture to be successful.
It also adds to the numbers to be counted as well, does it not?
Absolutely.
Okay. How do they join?
So you go to our website at utahfarmbureau.org. And right on the first page it says join now, and you click that button, and we've made it really easy for that to happen.
I've got to tell you, it's painless. It is really painless to do it, and it's very informative. So I invite you all to go check out their website and at thefarmbureau.org, utahfarmbureau.org, and just find out all the stuff that they have on there. They're doing a great job with it. And we're out of time for this episode. Remember, local government is where your life happens. Be involved, be part of the discussion. Join us on social media, and we'll see you next week on the County Seat.